This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling with you. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And I got a lot to get to. Da Bears, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bears coming up in a little while. Their win total for the upcoming season. Also UFC Fight Night and a couple baseball plays. So let's get to the first baseball play of the day.
Oh boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
All right, Lee, we're going to begin an interleague play on this Friday night. The Rays and the Reds in Cincinnati, and Junior Caminero of the Rays. He's been playing well. We saw him during the All-Star break and got his name out there. And what do you have for him tonight?
Yeah, not a lot of people knew who this guy was, especially the average person in the public. Obviously, baseball fans, if you follow closely, do. But now he's, I wouldn't say quite a household name, but certainly much more well-known. He looked good. Home run derby, you see his power now. Here's a guy that can take it to all fields, and I think he's really starting to tap into his potential. So he's just minus 130 over 1.5 bases. He has been on absolute fire the last 18 games. 10 of the last 18 games, he's had at least 2 bases. Why do you take a guy that, you know, has decent speed and has pop on these over 1.5 bases? Because they can hit in the gaps, they can hit it off the wall. If you're just taking singles hitters, you got to usually have, you know, 2 singles, things like that to get to the over 1.5 bases. But like I said, 10 of the last 18 games, over 2 bases. He has 20 home runs also against right-handed pitching. That's important here tonight. And we talk early and often about weather. So important this summer. Great hitting park is Cincinnati. So I think he's going to be locked in, and he's going to be a guy we're probably going to be riding quite a few times from here through the end of the season. Junior Caminero here, minus 130 over 1.5 bases. Blowout special.
And we have a couple more plays to get to as we recap last night and one of the few losing nights that we have had so far on the show. 1 and 2. We'll start with the winner. Yu Darvish finished under his strikeout prop as the Padres lost to the Cardinals in a high-scoring game. And Darvish, Lee, he's just not the pitcher he was at one time.
No, not even close. You know, he's 38 years old. Probably 2 years past, I wouldn't say his prime, to where he was at least effective. What happens is you see the names, unless you really study, you know, statistics, or you watch these pitchers and you got to look at, you know, velocity on the fastball. You got to look at the cutter. Does it have enough break? And, you know, once guys lose in Major League Baseball, these pitchers, they can go from going 5-6 innings, giving up 1 run, to getting pounded like he did last night and barely pitched 3 innings and get raked. So, you know, they look the same in the uniform, but the difference between a 95 and a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball, and a little bit, like I said, on as far as more cut on the breaking ball, it really makes a big difference when you're facing the best of the best. If he wanted to go to AAA or AA, he'd get those guys out, but not in Major League Baseball, where the technology and the training just has gotten better and better. So Yu Darvish, he's going to be a guy probably we're going to keep fading here. Gave us an easy winner there.
Now, the 2 losers last night, the Tigers continue to struggle. They led the Blue Jays 1-0 through 5. Then Toronto's offense exploded. Blue Jays stay hot as they capitalize off that Yankees series win. And unfortunately for Detroit, Lee, they just can't find the magic they had in the first half.
Well, I don't say this often, but I should have gone with the first 5. I don't play as many first 5 innings and first quarters like you do in the WNBA. But he looked good. Our pitcher that we were backing through 5 in the 6th, I think 7th and 8th, they just got pounded. So, sometimes you tip your hat off to the team that you're facing, and Tigers just not getting the job done. So not going to make that mistake and back them again tonight.
Now, as far as I go, Lee, with the WNBA, it's been a bit of a rough week after the All-Star break, and we had Las Vegas last night at Indiana in the first quarter, -0.5. And the Fever led pretty much throughout the first quarter. We're up 18-12 with a minute 40 to go. So you figure, okay, loser, done. But the Aces, though, came back, made it 18-14, made it 18-16, and then a defensive 3-second violation on the Fever in the final minute. Aces hit the free throw down 18-17. Still got a shot, and Las Vegas got the ball back. Shooting foul, 2 seconds left. All right, make both free throws. We squeeze this one out. You know what happens, Lee. Missed the first, made the second, 18-18 tie, big loser, and Vegas ended up losing the game to the Fever. But still, that was a tough one. It's been a bit of a tough week in the W, but almost thought we could have pulled that one out. But got to make your free throws, and you didn't.
Nope. So we're going to regroup there. You're going to take the night off. WNBA, you're going to switch to baseball, take the weekend, take a couple deep breaths, and start right back next week.
Yeah, so we should be good, but yeah, so that's how the night ended up. Now Lee is back in South Florida after his week in Charlotte at the ACC Media Days, the American Conference Media Days, and I guess first before we get to your flight back, did you end up seeing the Belichick circus, or was it pretty tame yesterday?
I did. It was tame. He got up there. Actually, there was a couple football-related questions, which he answers well. He's still really sharp. So, I love his staff. I just don't think he has the potential there. So that's going to be the problem. He has a mid-level quarterback, Gio Lopez, that he got from South Alabama. Probably his best recruit is from UConn. So he's going to have to do some magic on defense. Probably going to look to a lot of unders for North Carolina. I think they're going to win games. They're going to win them like 20-16, 17-14, 23-20, things like that. So it was absolutely packed to the rafters. There was at least double the amount of press, in the room and all around the hotel going on, even outside. I mean, there was people with footballs looking to be signed. Also, Duke and North Carolina State were there. So the in-state teams were certainly, front and center yesterday. But as I said, didn't think that Jordan was going to show up. And sure enough, she was nowhere to be found. Or I was even looking in the atrium, didn't find her at all. So if there was a prop that she was a no-show, you were a winner there too.
Now, quickly, you flew back from Charlotte to Miami. You talked about how your Uber driver in Charlotte was an aspiring pilot and drove past where he had to go. So on the way back, did you have a cab driver flying the plane?
No. But as soon as I get back, I'm like, okay, just one more Uber ride, I'm probably good to go. Not the case. Sure enough, I came out after I got my bag and said I'm supposed to meet him at a lower level, door 2. And after about 15, 20 minutes, he finally answered his phone and text, and he said he's right there. Finally, I'm like, you're not here. There's no cars here. Sure enough, where is he? Between door 4 and 5. So that's what you get sometimes in Miami. Thank you. Know what? I'm going to be here unless my daughter sings a national anthem for an NFL team this year during the season, something like that. Well, I am going to go. I'm singing time. I'm going to go to the Miami Notre Dame game, but I am going to be right here. We did well. We won 3 of the 4 days where we did shows from outside the city. For some reason, I don't know. I can't attribute it to being relaxed or what it is, but when I was out of town before you came on, Kevin, usually won like 75, 80% of the time. We go 3-1 winning days. So still a really good week, 8-5. So let's finish up strong and have our 4th straight winning week.
Yeah, and we have a couple plays coming up, and also we'll get to the Bears as well and look at their season win total and how they're going to do this season as we continue right here on Locked On Bets. Talk to you now about Game Time. That's right. When the games are going on, you got to go to Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you could splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. They've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Now, Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB. And if you are in some of these cities this weekend, there's a lot of really big games. If you're in New York, let's just say, you're in the Bronx, you will see the Phillies and the Yankees. You're in Boston, you can see the Dodgers and Red Sox at Fenway Park. You're out west in San Francisco, the Mets and Giants coming up this weekend. So a lot of big games all over the country in Major League Baseball. The one place you could check out is Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We continue here, Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. We already gave you one baseball play, so let's go to our second baseball play.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
All right, Lee, for our second baseball play, I'm going to go with the hidden gem, a first five play between the Padres and the Cardinals, and I'm going to take the under of 4.5 runs in the first five. Last night we saw St. Louis and San Diego combined for 15 runs in the first 5 innings with Sonny Gray, who's been really good at home this year. Kind of uncharacteristic that he gave up those numbers. But Yu Darvish, we talked about earlier, and how much he has not been very good. So 15 runs in the first 5 innings. I don't think that's going to be the case coming up tonight. Taking a look at the starting pitchers. First for Nick Pivetta of the Padres. He's been very good of late. And he has allowed a total of 2 runs in the first 5 innings in his past 5 starts. So we'll see if that keeps up coming up this evening. Meanwhile, for the Cardinals, Miles Mikolas, 6-2 to the under at home in the first 5 innings in 8 starts this year. He got racked in his last start after the All-Star break on the road, but back at home, he's a little more comfortable. And I do think now, after that high-scoring game last night, things will taper off a little bit tonight, and at least early, we're going to take the under 4.5 in the first 5 between the Padres and the Cardinals.
I think you might hit on something. A lot of times people, when they start seeing some a lot of runs scored, they just keep riding it. But I think these two pitchers are going to come back and certainly put out the fire of what was going on last night. Balls were flying out of off the bat. So I think it's a good choice here. I just don't think St. Louis has a whole lot of power, and San Diego's hit or miss. So last night they were on. Let's look for them to be off tonight.
And now, moving forward, we're going to get off the baseball, and we're going to move. UFC's been very good. Lee has been excellent at UFC and UFC Fight Night. It's in Abu Dhabi coming up this weekend.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
UFC Fight Night, Abu Dhabi, Lee. That's where it's shifting to this weekend. And what plays do you have for the people this weekend?
This is a strong card. I mean, whereas the last card last week, pay-per-view from New Orleans, people had to pay with tax. I think it comes to like $90. It was no bargain. That should have been one of those $39, $49 thrift cards. It was okay at best. There could be some fireworks here, and I think you're going to see a lot more fights here, probably go the distance here, and this might be one of them. So Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, 17-3. He is 5'10", guy that won the Contender Series. So he is one of these guys that he was on a rocket ship up. 2 losses. It's 3 total, but 2 were by submission. Who were those 2? Ilya Topuria and Gene Silva. So 2 very well thought of. One is a champion, one probably going to be fighting for a championship in the next year. So those 2 guys submitted him. Bryce Mitchell, not the smartest guy, like Kevin Holland, makes some mistakes. But here, as far as what's going on in his training camp, they really have him locked in and ready for Said Nurmagomedov, who is, okay, stand up, not real good as far as grappling, decent submission guy. But, I think that when you know what you're going to face, Silva presented so many problems. Nurmagomedov not quite at that level. And what we have in fighting, they usually have a guy like Mitchell who is higher, more thought of, maybe within a couple fights of fighting for a championship belt. And then you got Nurmagomedov who won, and they're trying to see if he can make it up. So you got one guy coming down, one guy coming up, and this Russian kid, Nurmagomedov, he's pretty decent, but he's going to be at a disadvantage as far as size. Mitchell's 5'10", Nurmagomedov a little bit smaller. Strength, even though Mitchell is not one of these guys, you look at him and you say, oh, he's, a power guy, not one of those guys, but so strong and hard to take down. Endurance, that could be the difference here. So very tough to exactly predict what's going to happen, but I'm going to take a chance here. I think Nurmagomedov will probably win the first round. He usually comes out hot, and then he has trouble. He usually, fades as the second and third rounds come on, and that's where Mitchell's strength and his grappling, I think, is going to take effect, and I can see him dominating the second and third round. So I think if I had to take a shot, I think the fight's going the distance, and I think Mitchell's going to win this one 29-28. So let's go with a level 1 lock on a Friday. Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell moves to 18-3 with a win here over Said Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, and Lee, you keep dominating UFC, so we're going to ride that one and see how it all unfolds. A lot of success so far on the show with the UFC selections. Coming up, the Chicago Bears. Will this be the year they finally get over the hump? I feel like the Bears are the Miami Dolphins of the Midwest. Like every year you think that something good can happen, and yet it just doesn't. So we'll see if things change. New head coach, Ben Johnson. He came from Detroit. We'll see how that works out with Caleb Williams and the Bears. That is straight ahead. You're listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And the Chicago Bears, they are a team that you think can finally make that move. Maybe they have the coach that can get them over the hump, the quarterback that has the potential to get them over the hump, and the weapons maybe at receiver. But can this be the year the Bears even make some kind of move in the NFC North?
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Bears in a tough division there, Lee. The Lions, all of a sudden, the class of the NFC North. The Packers have been very good. The Vikings, they have the defense. See if J.J. McCarthy can be their guy at quarterback. But Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears, a lot of hype behind him. Didn't work out in his rookie year, but can it work out here? Ben Johnson came from Detroit to Chicago. What are your thoughts on the Bears this year?
So let's look at the competition, and you mentioned that first. You've got the Lions, who won the division 15-2 last year in the regular season. Lost both coordinators. That's huge. So Ben Johnson, not only did he leave, he goes in division to the Bears. They lose their defensive coordinator. He moves on. He goes to the Jets. So 2 highly thought of guys, and one guy moves in division. And that knowledge of your opponent, very important. They also had a ton of defensive injuries during the season, and we don't know if those guys are, there's a couple, may not start the season off. They might come in week 3, 4, 6, and you're never sure if the first year back from a knee injury, a shoulder injury, if you're going to be 100%. They also lost two of their starters on the offensive lines, guys that have been there for a number of years. So that running game, I mean, when they went running downhill, play action, I mean, was devastating to opponents. So I don't think they're going to be at that level this year. Obviously, their quarterback Goff had a great year. I'm not sure if he can replicate that, especially without such a great offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. The Vikings, great defense, top 2, maybe top 3, but J.J. McCarthy, I'm not sure if he's their guy. So I'm not as high on the Vikings. I can't see them even having close to a record the same as last year. And then Green Bay. Obviously, Jordan Love missed a couple games, but I'm not a buyer on that secondary. I think people are going to be, and teams are going to be able to exploit them. So I think all 3 teams in the division are down a little bit. So now let's focus on the Chicago Bears. We know their biggest weakness last year was the offensive line. It was an absolute turnstile. I mean, there was so many lookout blocks. I mean, sometimes they didn't even touch guys. They had a straight path to the quarterback, and that kills a quarterback's, his confidence. So what did they do in free agency? Found a center and 2 guards right in the middle to plug up and control that weakness. I think they're going to go from a weakness to a strength there on the offensive line. Then outside, they added Luther Bird in the second round. They're trying to find guys that can catch the ball, break a tackle, and go the different distance here. A lot of teams and a lot of players, their problem is they got to go 80 yards. It takes them 8, 10, 12 plays. The key to having a successful offense, the reason the Lions were so good, had a great running back in Gibbs and one of the best wide receivers, guys that can catch or run the ball, break a tackle, and go 70, 80 yards at least once every game or two. So Burden gives them that. He's a guy that can also probably play special teams, return punts and kickoffs. Colston Loveland, they're going to go a lot of more tight end. It's called 12 set. It's 1 running back and 2 tight ends. And they're going to be able to give teams different looks. Ben Johnson, even though he's going to be obviously the head coach, not going to be able to just, spend all his time dialing up plays. He's a master play caller here. So I look for the offense to be so much different here. And they could go from, high teens, low 20s to mid to upper 20s as far as offense. So I think it's going to be a fun offense to watch in 2025, 2026. Now, the defense, they were fine last year. The weaknesses were the pass rush. They get a little bit better pass rush, they'll be fine. Tyreek Stevenson started strong, and then, he started waving his hands around before they had that Hail Mary pass, and he was never the same. So I think with the new coaching staff and the talent they already have on hand and really strong special teams, I think they're one of the best punters in the NFL. I think that defense is good enough. And like I said, it's a whole culture. They didn't have a good coaching staff here. I love the general manager, love the coaching staff now. So total's 8.5. Look at the schedule. Last year, they had to play 9 road games. This year, 8 home games. 1 home game is overseas and just 8 games on the road. They get off to a decent start. Look out. I'm not saying they're going to definitely make the playoffs, but 8.5, I got them winning 9 or 10 games here. Let's end the week and have our 4th straight winning week with a level 2 lock. Chicago Bears over 8.5 wins for the 2025-2026 season.
It's so interestingly how the Bears were 4-2 last year. I think a lot of people forget that. And then they lost 10 straight. And then they had a game-winning field goal at Green Bay in the final game. They could have lost 11 straight to end things. So a bit of promise out of the gate. But really quick, about a 30-second answer. What were your thoughts on Caleb Williams last year?
He still needs to work on his deep ball. But I think with the right coaching, I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback, but I think with Ben Johnson tutoring him and learning how to and when to make throws, I mean, his confidence just went down with that offensive line. I think he's going to be 10th to 15th best quarterback this year, and that could be good enough with the defense that they have.
Now, with the week wrapped up here, Lee, what is going on with Paramount Sports going to the weekend?
Yeah, so what we've got going on, we've got first and foremost a UFC fight that's going to take place from Abu Dhabi. Starts at 12 noon. So pay attention to the time. Don't go to the website at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Normally, these undercards normally start 6 or 7 o'clock, and the main card's 9 or 10. The first fight starts at 12 noon, and we have couple fights on the undercard. So you want to get in, you want to get locked in and win. You gotta act today or early tomorrow morning. And we won 8 of the last 9 cards. So not many people on a run like we are. We went 6-1 last week, hit 2 of our 3 40 to 50 unit major wager max releases, and also hit a plus 475 underdog. 7 selections there, $37. Baseball, been hot. 10 selections, $50. You want to get the player props. They're winning 10 days there, $50. So you can get either of those, or how about this? It's not going to be up for much longer. You can get the baseball selections the next 10 days and also the player props for the next 10 days, just $77. And then starting Thursday, we're less than a week away, football. Check out that we've got the season 1997 from the first preseason game next Thursday through the Super Bowl, and also player props. You can get the entire season there. So get on that. Don't call me on Thursday, 10 minutes before the kickoff and say I'm ready to go. You need a little bit of time to set up your account. It takes about 15, 20 minutes to get everything going, your phone line. So love to have you aboard for the ride. It's going to be fun. I'm also going to draw the winners as soon as the show's over. So pay attention and look at your Twitter, look at your emails, and I'm going to let all 4 people. We'd said 2 UFC fight cards and 2 baseball, 10 days of selections for free. I'm going to do this. I'm going to let them choose. So if all 4 want the UFC, or all 4 or 3 out of 4 want the baseball, they can pick and choose between what they want. And just my way of saying, hey, thank you for listening, and try us out for a little bit, either one night in the UFC or 10 days in baseball. I think you're going to be around for a long time.
And again, with our show here, Locked On Bets, been on for several weeks, and very happy about that. Happy with the audience, and we appreciate you if you've been here the whole time, or if you're brand new. And also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Bets. And also you could find our podcast on your favorite audio platform, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen. We appreciate your support. And everyone have a good weekend, a profitable weekend. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. You're listening to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.